Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is our Rice News analyst, Emmanuel Efene, the great Malabite Action.
Good morning, Ruben. Good morning, Vimba.
Good morning, Mr. Efene.
Good morning, Rufai. We start the review with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of record. The story above the masthead, Dangote. I have paid $2.4 billion of $5.5 billion borrowed to build refinery. Eyes steel production. Says cartel in oil industry stronger than global drug mafia. Lord's Afribank, Afrexim Bank, Access Bank, AFC for support argues foreign banks not interested in African development. Discloses oil refinery to serve as Nigeria's strategic reserve. Well, of course, there's a report out there that PMS, Premium Motor Spirit, petrol will start flowing from the Dangote refinery to the Nigerian market from July next month. But Aliko Dangote, Africa's richest man, and of course the founder of the Dangote Group, was in the Bahamas yesterday, where the Afrexim annual meeting and Afro-Caribbean Trade and Investment Forum is taking place right now. And there he addressing the gathering there. He has done well in paying back part of the loan taken for the construction of the world's biggest single train refinery. And according to this report, he's also looking at steel production, an area where Nigeria had so much promise from the Chagari days, but we've not been able to pull that as a country to pull that through. Rufai, you were part of a steel town in Delta State, where your father worked as an engineer with the Delta Steel Company, right?
Yeah.
Now, let's just look at other stories. The lead story of this day, Tinubu's Dobale, military parade, cultural displays highlight Democracy Day celebration. President, democracy, what falling for? Atiku Obi sympathized with Nigeria's leader over his sleep. Nigerian stage protests in Lagos, Abuja, other cities. Police arrest 5. The police should not be arresting people who protest peacefully. That is part of the democratic culture. People should be able to protest. But yesterday, Democracy Day, a lot to celebrate. 25 years of unbroken democracy is worth celebrating, because if we look at what happened in the past, First Republic, Second Republic, First Republic, 6 years. Second Republic, 4 years, 3 months. And of course, the Fourth Republic that the military never allowed to take off. And of course, this republic, we've had elections, and we've even had the opportunity when voters voted out a sitting president. So there is hope, to the extent that if the democracy or the government of the day is not delivering on the dividends Nigerians expect, they should be able to use the ballot box to make a point. That's the whole idea behind democracy, that people can choose their leaders and say, well, you have done enough or you have not done well. It's part of the democratic culture. But of course, yesterday when the president literally tumbled into that van, we're in the studio here, Ruben, Rufai, and Vimba, we all held our breath to be sure the president was okay. And I think that was in the context in which Atiku Abubakar was even saying, I hope all is well with the president. And it was good to see the president at the dinner at night, standing on his feet, looking fit, and of course, making light of what some of us thought was would have resulted in some serious maybe harm to the president. And for once, I was trying to brush up my Yoruba language. For those of us who at least we studied Yoruba in primary school, Alawiye, Book 1, and of course, Akomolede. I was thinking, how do I describe what happened to the president in Yoruba language? Am I going to say Oshubu or Olule? But the president helped us out by using the word Dobale. Well, it's his own way of making light of what was already engaging the social media. And the Daily Sun newspaper reporting that story, controversy over Tinubu's fall at June 12 parade. Well, I don't think there's any controversy there. He slipped, he fell, and he stood up. And that was it. No big deal, really. It wasn't an health issue. It was just a trip, as we also, but it's just
swag.
Well,
Swagger.
well,
the city boy.
Well,
Jagaban of Bogu.
well, I like,
Asiwaju of Lagos.
yes.
Omo Alaja, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria,
Well,
Commander-in-Chief.
Of the Nigerian Force.
Swag.
Yes, of course.
Swag.
It's not unusual. People have, also, even in your homes, people sleep and fail.
Swagger.
But I think I like the way the president made light of that matter.
Good humor.
Yes, good humor. And there's no big deal about it. It's not, no need to go and look for a demon that followed him from Aso Rock.
No.
Like Ruben, the demon catcher was almost suggesting, right? But Democracy Day, great celebration. But of course, many also notice what looked like the minimization of Abiola in that celebration. His name mentioned once or twice in the president's address, and Ruben rightly observed that the president should have devoted at least a paragraph to the sacrifice Abiola made. And of course, yesterday in Abeokuta, the Abiola family gathered, as they do every year, to remember the father, husband, uncle, who sacrificed his life for democracy to take root in this climb. And of course, the deputy governor of Ogun State represented the governor in that celebration. Of course, expectedly, it was a somber atmosphere as they recall the good deeds of MKO Abiola. Of course, it was not just a Nigerian statesman in his own right.
African.
It was Africa, and indeed, the Black World internationally.
Internationally.
I remember
Civil rights struggle.
You remember his crusade for reparation, which I know did not go down well with the West. And when the first black governor of America, Douglas Wilder, visited Nigeria in 1992, he was a guest of the Nigerian Institute of Banker. He was in Nigeria, and he visited 9 other African countries, including Senegal, Gabon, Ivory Coast, Nigeria, Angola, Zambia. When he was in Lagos, I remember he was a guest of the Nigerian Institute of Bankers. From there, I remember covering that story, and I wrote a piece in The Guardian, The Return of the Native Son. Douglas Wilder, the first black governor in America.
Manuel Efendi, the features king.
Yes, and when he left there, you know where he went to? With his delegation, I joined them in the bus. It was the home of MKO Abiola. That was the first time I entered that huge sitting room of the late MKO Abiola, decorated with awards, and he has received from everywhere in Nigeria, across the world. Yes, and the issue of reparation was part of the discussion. Surprisingly, Governor Douglas Wilder got into some controversy or trouble over that trip because the American ambassador to Nigeria then, Lennon Walker, wrote to other ambassadors in Africa that they should be careful about the foray. He described the trip, a trade and cultural exchange trip. He described it as a foray. And it was not surprising that after that, the following year, that is 1993, Walter Carrington was sent to Nigeria. And Walter Carrington was also a champion of the return to democracy in Nigeria, one of the heroes of democracy. That collage you're talking about, Ruben, a collage of heroes of democracy.
Should have included Walter Carrington.
Should. And you can commission that artwork, you know, Ruben. You are well healed enough to do that as your own contribution to this democracy. So yesterday, a great day celebrating democracy and the sacrifice of our heroes past. Yes, that's from the, and of course, other newspapers reporting this story. The Guardian newspaper, Nigeria's unity cannot be traded with your support. I won't fall. Tinubu, of course, in his various speeches yesterday. Leadership newspaper, another story. Minimum wage, Labour force Tinubu speech, insists on 250,000 naira. New Telegraph newspaper, 25th democracy anniversary. More dividends coming to Nigeria, says Abbas. Of course, the president and the president's men were giving assurances yesterday. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister for the Economy, Wale Edun, and of course, our good friend and colleague in the solid minister, Dele Alake, were giving assurance that, look, good times are coming, and they'll be here very soon. And we just hope it will come early enough, because Nigerians yesterday protested about the hard times in a number of cities, in Lagos, in Osun State, in Oyo State, and in Edo State. In Abuja, there were protests yesterday over hard times. Now, if we just look at Nigerian Tribune newspaper, June 12, Nigeria needs new constitution, Anyoku, Nwachukwu, others. Now, the Daily Trust newspaper, only 5.3 million workers will benefit from new minimum wage. Labour saying that there's no agreement yet. The president said he's going to send a bill. I just hope there will still be some room for negotiation. Or perhaps by the time the president is sending that bill to the National Assembly, it will surprise Labour with a figure. Now, if we just look at the foreign newspapers from across Africa, the Citizens newspaper, mad scramble for new government. Of course, 24 hours before, to go before a government of national unity must be announced in Parliament. Well, there's still no clarity. While some are saying Democratic Alliance is a natural choice for ANC, but the voters, those of ANC, are seeing Democratic Alliance as the enemy. And some are saying an ANC-DA-IFP coalition will be best for South Africa. Now, we go to the Daily News of Zimbabwe. Do not link ED to this rubbish. Charamba thunders warned those abusing his boss. Of course, George Charamba is the spokesperson, the presidential spokesperson in Zimbabwe. And he was reacting to social media reports that the president has been captured by businessman Wikel Chivaya. Familiar story for Vimbai.
State
right?
capture.
Okay, we just end with the Times of London. Growth and prosperity are priority, says Starmer. Of course, there's a story of the Prime Minister's aide who placed a bet that there will be a date for election. 3 days before the Prime Minister announced it, it's been investigated.
His name is Craig Williams, and it's
Craig
been
Williams.
investigated.
Wow.
You know, but very quickly,
Insider.
the big story in the UK today is that the Labour Party is going to present its manifesto. Keir Starmer was on Sky News yesterday, battle for number 10, where he didn't rule out the possibility of the Labour Party manifesto raising taxes, including capital gains and council tax. But his manifesto, we're told, is going to talk basically about increasing prosperity.
Yeah,
as you
prosperity,
just pointed out,
growth,
and addressing the problems caused by those he referred to as blockers of aspiration and to return Britain to prosperity. But thank you very much. We seem to have run out of time.